The Costarricenses de Paso, the treasure of Costa Rica. Magnificent, noble, gallant, grandiose, majestic. All describe a breed of horse few in North America have ever seen, but is a treasure of the Central American country of Costa Rica. To describe this breed of horse as breathtaking would be an understatement, for its conformation, temperament, and movement are like no other breed of horse. To understand this breed, we must first understand its origins among horse breeds. The Costarricenses de Paso is the end result of two influential breeds, the Andalusian and the Peruvian Paso. The Andalusian breed of horse has a long and distinguished history. Developed in the Spanish Peninsula, it was a blend of the Arabian and Berber horse with some mixture of English blood. Their fame spread as formidable war mounts in the Iberian cavalry of the Carthaginian army that fought against the Roman legions, who in turn captured and bred them to help conquer the known world. They soon became the standard by which all war horses were measured and were prized for their agility, temperament, endurance, and depth of character. It is a breed that has great stamina coupled with its stance, power, and the rhythm and grace of its movements. It has always instilled in spectator and rider alike a feeling of grandeur. The Peruvian Paso, like the Andalusian, was brought to the New World with the conquistadores, and its influence was so great it was deemed to be the national horse of Peru. The Peruvian Paso is a gaited breed, meaning it moves laterally rather than diagonally as most horse breeds move. This exceptionally smooth gait made it widely used and highly prized for its ground covering, smooth as silk gaits. Both of these breeds are influential in the Costarricenses de Paso.
The basis of the Costarricenses are, the origins start with the Berber horses that the conquistadors left behind. In the 1800s, they brought in the Andalusian in order to create a bigger breed, a stronger breed. Now, the intensity of the Berber horse was his ability to survive on not a lot of grass and not a lot of substance, and in so doing, he survived a whole lot of amazing difficulties. So there's a strength in these horses that you don't see in some of the horses that we have in the United States anymore that have been made into lawn ornaments instead of used as the amazing workhorses they are.
For 150 years in their native homeland of Costa Rica, they have been primarily used as a working breed and are prized for their ability to move over the difficult soils of this country, which has also developed their exceptional stamina and great endurance.
In Costa Rica, they use these horses like they truly are a work animal. They're the four-wheel drive that we use here. They use horses for that. One of the things you see when you ride in the rainforest is you'll see this place where here's this guy riding along on this little horse with an 8-foot chainsaw and a 5-gallon can of gas going off to work. And that's the way they use the horse. They use it as a work element. Something that had, went out of vogue here in probably the 20s. Don't use horses as work animals anymore, but they do there. Amazing combination of that. So with this breed, they started out with this Berber horse, then they added the Andalusian to create a bigger, more dynamic and prettier horse. And what they've come away with is horses that look like the statues you see in Spain and in Mexico and in all these Latin countries, these horses that have this strength, this vitality, and are capable of doing a full day's work. They have a lot of endurance, a lot of capacity, and they're amazingly wonderful creatures with a wonderful, kind disposition. So the Costarricenses, I got interested in them because I went to Costa Rica to do a class, and while I was down there, I rode some of these horses, and I was just stunned at how comfortable they were, how beautiful they were. And with the Costarricenses, they're big enough that there's this sense of their power, their brilliance, and they have a higher head carriage. And as a result, I feel like I'm on enough of a horse that I don't feel like I'm a giant with my feet dragging the ground. So I got interested in them based on that. Then unfortunately I met this stallion, this guy right here. And he is the most wonderful horse I've ever been on in my life. He's everything I ever wanted in a horse wrapped up in this one guy. And once I had him, rode him, I went, that's it, I gotta have some of these horses. And then I thought, you know what, there are none of these horses in the United States, and one of the things I love about them is the kindness in them. One of the things they do with their horses is they breed for a horse that has a good temperament. If if a stallion does not have a good temperament, they won't breed to that animal. They'll cut him, geld him right away. And what they want is they want horses that even their stallions can be ridden by their children and their wives. This particular stallion behind me, he was ridden by the trainer's 8-year-old son. And it's amazing to watch an 8-year-old get on a horse that's this powerful, this big, and this guy's about 16 hands. Get on this horse and ride him and have no fear because he knows the horse will take care of him. It's an amazing thing to see the way these horses take care of you. And that I thought would be a gift that other people in the United States might be interested in. So I decided, okay, so let's try this. So we brought a few of them in. We have 5 of them here at Hill Country Peruvian in Texas. And we're going to see what we can do to create the breed in the United States. When I was in Costa Rica, I met the president of the Azcacopa, which is the association for the Costarricenses. And it was interesting because they have an open registry still. And what they do is they take horses and they can breed to a Andalusian, for instance. And if it comes out with the correct gait, then it's still called Costarricense. And they will microchip them, and they do that at age 3. So one of the things we've done is we've started an association for the Costarricenses in the United States. We have established that here in Texas, and we hope to breed some of the Peruvians to the Costarricenses and see if we can get the Costarricense gait or see if we get the Peruvian gait. One of the interesting things was in looking at some very high-end Costarricenses, I noticed that some of them had the lateral gait when they were in deep sand, so they were functioning and moving like the Peruvians rather than the Costarricenses. On hard ground, they moved with the diagonal gait, and they were definitely Costarricenses. So it is our plan to have judges come up and have the president of the Azcacopa come to the United States and judge the horses that we create here and to give them points to see whether they qualify as a foundation member of the Costarricense breed in the United States. And we'll do like they do in Costa Rica, because one of the things in Costa Rica that happens a lot, somebody will have a stallion and across the river there's a guy with a bunch of grade mares, and the stallion will jump the fence and swim the river and go breed all the mares, and he'll come out with these half Costarricense horses. And so some of them have enough Costarricense blood in them, they actually function and walk like the Costarricenses, look a great deal like them. And so they use them as part of the breeding standards by which they increase the stamina of the breed, which I think is probably a good thing. A lot of the breeds have been so inbred that they've got weaknesses in them. One of the things, I studied a book which showed that the kings of Spain used to bring in other horses from other breeds when they noticed that their stock was getting weak in certain areas. So in order to bring in strength, they would bring in other stock to breed to them. And that actually shows in the history books as how the Andalusian got created, was bringing in these other stocks. And therefore, it's like the strength was what they were breeding for in those days. Today we are so fixated on the purebred that we have lost some of the strengths of the animal, and that's one of our greatest difficulties. And this baby we brought in the belly of her mother. She came and she was due in December. So she was born in December, and she's now 4 months old, and she's quite shaggy because she's expecting that she was born in summer or spring the way they normally do, and that it's going to get colder. It's getting rather hot here in Texas, so she's refusing to lose her hair. So she's a little fuzzy and a little funny looking, but I'm sure she'll turn out to be a black beauty in the end.
From a trainer's perspective, Mark Donovan finds them highly intelligent, and they seem to have an innate ability to almost sense what the rider wants.
From a trainer's point of view, these horses are probably the first lot of horses I've ever ridden that you can ride them from your mind and have to use very subtle cues, and the energy levels are just amazing. And with the beat, it's just a blast. You're just riding them and you're just floating along with them. And you can think what you want to do and the horse will just respond and just float around, and it's just, I've never ridden anything like it before, so they sort of took my breath away. Just the power and just the sheer beauty and prestige of them is amazing. With the riding from the mind side of things, it's almost like you become the horse. You don't have to really force the horse to do anything. You can just think it, and you become the energy of the horse, and it's like a communion with the horse, where the horses seem to accept it so readily, and you get into their headspace of just thinking where you want to go, and the horses will just float with you, and it gives you an experience of exhilarating ride where anything's possible, and it's like total freedom where you can feel like you can ride totally without even a bridle, or just being with the horse with a presence that's I haven't felt before. I've ridden a lot of horses in Australia and in New Zealand, and the energy and the ride you get off these horses when you fully let them have their head and just be with them, it's just an amazing experience. They fly along the ground, smooth as glass. Although these horses look hot and flashy, they're actually really suited to all people to ride because they're so kind, and the energy levels are so easy to control because you don't have to force them. You can just think and sit with them, and they will just give you everything that you ask for, and if you need more, they'll give you all they've got and more. I feel that anybody could hop on one of these horses and have come away feeling like they've had the most exceptional experience, and the horse leaves them with an energy that you don't forget.
Although there are presently fewer than a dozen of these horses in North America, those who have come to know and ride them have been clearly impacted by this special breed.
So what's interesting for me is being a relative novice to the horse world. I started riding about 6 years ago, and having access to these amazing Costarricenses has been such a gift. These animals will gift to you continuously. Now, I was very fortunate. My first horse was a 16.5 hand thoroughbred named Playboy, and this horse loves to play. Well, he also gifted to me dynamically, and the Costarricenses are the only horses that I found that actually gift in that same way. So, for example, you can ask, can we go faster now? And just think it. Now, once again, I'm a relative novice, so my use of my body as far as riding goes is not what it would be if I'd been riding for 20 years or a real, great, excellent horseman. And yet I'll ask and these horses will give. Ask to go faster, they'll go faster. If I ask to go right, they go right. If I ask to go left, they go left. With minimal use of body and minimal use of force, it's like they just seem to know what you're asking for. It sort of seems like that connection that I know for me I've always wanted with a horse, that I always thought you should have, reading Black Beauty and some of these stories growing up, and you think that's the way it should be. And you find horse after horse where it doesn't seem like that's the case, and you wonder, why can't I create that connection? Well, partially because of this amazing breed, and partially because of how they're trained and how they've been trained and brought up over the last 150 years. There's an animal that actually seems to match the energy of any rider you put on them. And to see a 6-year-old climb on one of these horses and know that it's going to be taken care of, really an amazing gift. And to see me climb on one of these horses for me and know that I'll be taken care of is also an amazing gift. So it's an interesting thing to have a horse. It's sort of like driving in a BMW sports car, or your favorite Corvette that you like. You climb in and you know that even if you're going 20 miles an hour, you're going to get a great ride. And it's also got the capacity to go 150 if you're able to take it that far. So it's sort of an amazing thing where you'll have an animal that will gift to you at any level you happen to be at and be happy to do so. Okay, so I'm part owner of a few of these Costarricenses now, simply for that reason, because these amazing animals, it's like once you make a connection with them, you don't want that connection to end. It's such a gift to be able to not only ride them, but also just to be in their presence. And once again, I'm not a horse person from way back, so that hasn't been my experience. Well, it is now. It's quickly becoming my experience and also my desire. In Costa Rica, I have a half Costarricense, half quarter horse, and it's a rocket on 4 hooves. That horse goes faster than anything I've ever seen, let alone been on. And my thoroughbred horse was a former racehorse, and he goes faster than that. But he's so sure-footed that we can go at a dead run up a hill and I know that I'll be taken care of. It's the same thing with all of these horses. They're there, they're under you, and they're listening to you because they're so present the whole time. How does it get any better than that? I love this amazing breed of horses because there's nothing they won't do for you and nothing they won't give you if you simply ask. They're not fighting you. They're always there to give you anything you desire, and it's one of the greatest rides you'll ever have.
So the kind of person that's going to like this kind of horse is somebody who's probably, been interested in the Peruvians, been interested in the Pasofinos, been interested in walking horses of one sort or another, but hasn't found that horse that's just right for them. And these particular horses, because of the fact that they've been bred for a level of intelligence which they get from the Andalusian, because they have a level of kindness that has been bred into them by being used as a workhorse, and because they've been well cared for in a different kind of way than what we do here in the United States, you have a horse that will give to you in probably a more dynamic way than most of the horses that you've ridden. I like the fact that these horses want to gift you all the time. They love to do what they do. They love to shine for you, and they get really proud when people look at them and clap, or people look at them and say, "Ooh, pretty horse," and they suddenly stand up taller and stick their chests out, and they like to be admired. So what we're hoping for is in the next 5 years that they actually start to have enough of these horses available, that they're in horse shows, not just in demonstrations, although we plan on doing some of that to give people awareness of them. And we would like to see them as parade horses, because they're phenomenal in parades. We'd like to see them as riding horses for people who wish to do endurance, and people who wish to do more in their lives with a horse that's very present, very there for them, and will gift to them in unique ways. And it's sort of a thing where I think the horses will create their niche more than us creating their niche. They'll decide where they want to go, because they seem to pull in a certain kind of person who loves the way they look, loves the way they move, and feels like somebody that they will enjoy. And they do have the ability to do dressage, they do have the ability to jump, they do have the ability to do a lot of different things, so they're a real versatile kind of horse.
The Costarricenses De Paso, a breed of horse destined to change all of those who come to know it. To learn more about this exceptional breed, viewers are invited to learn more about this breed by contacting us. You too will be changed forever by the Costarricenses De Paso, the treasure of Costa Rica.